you miss any of this.
And then from WAGs, we'll be able to purchase skins on Steam Marketplace. This is something we've discussed doing, and I'm sure we will have a cosmetics option at one point, but it will purely be cosmetics. We're not going to go down the route of doing anything that's going to make the gameplay unbalanced. And our focus on this game is the survival game. We want to make the survival game fun, and so we're not going to have crates and keys and all this crap just trying to milk players out of money. But we might have some skins and so on that if you want to purchase for cosmetic, you can. But this whole thing of trying to bait players by giving them a crate and then they have to buy a key to open the crate. I don't play CS:GO. My understanding CS:GO works that way. Some of the other games work that way, but yeah, we won't be doing that because it feels like we're just trying to steal money from players at that point. So anyway, so that's kind of where it's at. Let's see. Will there be a passing out mechanic in the game? With the incapacitation system, that'd be a good time to add that because you'll be able to knock players out. So if it makes sense from a gameplay perspective that a player can pass out, then we would probably add it at that point, yeah. Let's see, will this mean server costs will go down with the introduction of the new network system? That's something we'll have to discuss with i3D, Chris. That was a question from Chris.
It was a question from me.
Yeah. I know there's people that don't like the current price, but the way the server providers work is they look at the amount of resources a server takes, and CryEngine takes a lot of memory currently. Our game takes a lot of memory to run, and it gets in this phase where it takes a lot of bandwidth when you have a lot of players because it's processing just a ton of network data going through that server. And because of that, they can only put so many instances of a game server on a physical server, and that's how they determine their base cost, is how many of these game servers can I put on a machine. And so if we get the bandwidth down and we get the CPU usage down, then they can put more instances on a physical server, and so the costs would decrease. So that purely depends on just the efficiency of the game. So hopefully that will adjust, but I can't speak for sure. We'll have to have that discussion with i3D about that. Okay, Quicks Up. Do you plan to do an up-to-date guide for tweaking? I noticed there's an official guide on the Steam forum, but it's kind of messy. Yeah, that's one that somebody kind of went through. I think Jen might have kind of gathered that together. Jen's one of our mods. She's our customer service manager. I think that's one that she put together, but I'm not sure what the source of that one was. But now would be a good time for us to start working on that with... The reason for that is with the recent updates we put out, they're running in real release mode, which means all the commands are whitelisted now. And so we know exactly what commands people can use. And so we can get all those added into a document. So now would be a good time for somebody on our team to go through and do that. So that's a great suggestion. I'm going to stop that for a second while I scroll down more. Would bigger bases cause FPS problems? I don't think the bigger bases would cause FPS issues. The reason for that is they're highly optimized already, and a lot of the textures, as you can tell from a base, they're all used the same textures. If we got a lot of different base parts, a lot of different styles of base parts, and really unique looking base parts, maybe. But no, they really don't impact FPS at all right now. They're really efficient.
It really only becomes became an issue is when you had a lot of lights, like. That's why we sort of limit the amount of parts that you can have and the amount of lights that you can use in generators and stuff like that. Just so you don't have somebody with like 800 million lights all in one spot. Because then that would cause something, but that's what
that's a good point. Yeah, that's a great point. The lights are what causes a slowdown, but just rendering a base is extremely fast. So, that isn't an issue. But yeah, anytime you start adding lots of lights, and especially lights that cast shadows, you're going to get an FPS hit really fast. And that's why the big spotlights are limited to 5, is purely for performance reasons right now. Will the helicopter or plane ever be functional? I mentioned that earlier with the flying stuff. We'll just wait till the map's done and see if we want to add one then. So that's a maybe. From Cosmochin, is it possible to add an AI that is much faster than you? Again, we'll be adding some AI, but if something's faster than you, it needs to be balanced, because every time you see one in the game, you don't want to automatically die because you can't outrun it. So that would just have to be adjusted for gameplay, but we'll have stuff probably faster than players, slower than players, stronger than players, so on as time goes on. But it makes sense if something's faster than you, it's probably going to be weaker than you, so you actually have a chance of killing it. Excuse me. Game menus being updated. Again, that'll come at some point with a UI revamp. We definitely know the UI needs to be fixed. Why don't you use Lumberyard? So for those of you that don't know, Lumberyard is a version of CryEngine that Amazon just barely released recently. So a couple reasons for that. One is we've been with Crytek for 3 years now, and we're very happy with Crytek. They've treated us really well. And one of the things with Lumberyard is if you have a server, you have to rent the server from Amazon, and all the servers have to be hosted on Amazon. So we can't use other hosting providers, for example. And if, and this is a big if, we ever let people use our server files, they would not be able to host their own servers ever. You would have to rent a server from Amazon and host your server through Amazon. So that's kind of where Amazon makes their money back with their version of CryEngine now, is all those services have to be run through Amazon. So at this point, there are no plans for us to switch to using Lumberyard. So
They're asking if you can turn off the track IR jumping back and forth.
yeah, let me kill this. Sorry. Let me just kill track IR and see if this fixes it. All right, I think that fixed it. Okay. I just had to shut down track IR.
Hendrik said we've seen enough naked men.
All right. I can show something else. If anybody else have ideas, throw it in chat. I'm almost done with the questions, so let's see.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Oh, I need to come back to Blix's too. But anyway, see, could you post a link to where you want bug reports so that way people can send them into you? So if you go to our website, miscreatedgame.com, there's actually on the side, there's a tab that you can push to submit a bug report. And I believe that is still accurate. Is that right, Chris?
Yeah, it should be working. You can also submit them through the forum itself. Like if it's something that you need help with, it's best to do it in the forum. But if it's just a bug that you've noticed that you don't need help with, like because we probably won't respond to the bug reports on there, but we will on the forum. So it's best to just submit a bug through the actual game page. And if you need help with something, go on the forum.
Okay, yeah. I'll just zoom over here and give you a close-up of the guy's head. How's that? There. Okay. Now you don't have to see his naked body, Hendrik. Yeah, so on the right side, if you go to our website, on the right side, there's a blue tab that says Submit a Bug. And so you just type in the information, submit it, and then that gets sent to us. Now, I will mention that don't use that to ask for keys and other stuff, because we had people do that, and I just deleted them. So it's meant for bug submission, not for begging for keys. So anything that isn't a bug submission, I'm just going to delete. All right. The big city. So the big city is still being worked on in general. There are a lot of buildings being made for it, and I will say that there is a video we made for the Game Developers Conference that starts March 15th, I believe. And in that trailer video, you will see some video footage of the new city.
I can't wait to show that. It's so amazing.
Yeah. So you will see it. We might release some images before then. We'll just kind of have to see, but you will see parts of that city in the trailer. It isn't ready for gameplay yet. You know, some of the interiors aren't done yet. In fact, most of the interiors aren't done yet. But a lot of the outside of the buildings are done, and some of the buildings are massive as well. But yeah, you'll see some of those in the trailer video.
Yeah, so, I'll be honest. The trailer gave me goosebumps.
I really like the trailer. I'll say the same thing. It's really well done. So let's see. Will doors be added? Yes. So this is another one that comes back to the item system. So as an example, right now, if we had 2, 3, 4 doors in every house, there are hundreds of houses in the game already. And so what would happen is if you were to log into the game today and there's all those doors, so if there's 1,000 doors in the game, and we're probably, I guess we'd probably be at about 1,000 doors by now, that would add a minute to your login time currently if we had those in the game today. And so we took them out because they just were not efficient at all, the default implementation of those. And then, like I said, it also would make your initial loading time every time you go to play the game even worse than it is today. But with a new relevant system, we'll add those back in. They won't be in at the start, but doors are definitely something we want to add back in. And we'll also look at adding stuff back in as well, like go over here and go inside the police station, give somebody a different view here.
I think the stream died.
The stream died. Let's see.
Oh wait, there we go. Okay, it's back.
Okay. At that point, we might look at seeing if it's possible to do other stuff with buildings. You know, we've talked a lot about possibly being able to board up windows and those type of things, and more interactive features in the game, like opening and closing fridges and those type of interactive elements in the game. Those would be the type of things we would add after the new relevance networking system is in, because then it's a lot more efficient on when those get sent to players. So those are all type of features that we'd look at and see if we want to add those in again at that point. Floating base exploits. Yeah, we're well aware that you can make some floating bases, and I appreciate you mentioning that. And that's something that we're going to look at addressing as well. Yep. So we do know that's an issue. Most people are pretty good about making their bases, but it's definitely possible to make one that floats. Just means you're going to have a lot less in your base because you just took a whole floor away. But the other thing is, a little hint to anybody in the game, is the big trucks, the big military style trucks. If you can get one of those, you can get in any base in the game, because they can't make their walls high enough as a general rule. So you get one of those, you can jump on top of the truck and you can go right in their bases too. So so if somebody has a base that you feel like they're kind of cheating on, making it float, go get one of those big military bases and break into it. Military trucks can use those to break into their base. So that's the workaround.
Yeah, you can just punch it for like 20 minutes too.
Yeah. Well, I think you were saying some of the bases that float from the ground, you can't attack them.
Oh yeah. True.
So yeah, use the vehicle and stand on the vehicle and break into those. And that big military vehicle is perfect for those. You guys are welcome. All right. Let's see. That's kind of all the questions that I see. Going through here. I'm kind of looking through all my chat channels really fast. See what else I've missed here. All right. I'm not seeing much. Anybody else? I'll just look in Twitch chat now. So if you guys have any questions, just throw them in Twitch chat, and I'll just answer a few more questions.
Blix.
Oh yeah, I have all Blix's questions. Let me get to the Twitch chat first, and I'll get back to Blix's questions. He has a lot. Add a chainsaw to farm wood piles. Oh, I did see something. Some people earlier were asking about stacking items for the inventory. Yes, you will be able to stack items as well. That currently isn't added, but that will be something that will be added probably really shortly after the item system and the relevant system is in. But you definitely will be able to stack items. So yeah, that'll be coming in. So for example, when you're harvesting lumber and all that, it'll go into your inventory and so on, and stack in your inventory. As far as our chainsaw though, I imagine we'll add a chainsaw at some point, but we haven't started on one yet. Let's see. Going through questions. Oh, the AT-15 attachments. Yeah. So as part of my little slide earlier, I mentioned vehicle attachments and also weapon attachments. Those would be things that we'll add at that point. The actual AT-15 in our game is already broken up into attachments. It's just the version we give you is already put together, so you can't take those off. But if you equip one in game, you'll notice that there are 5 slots that you can drag stuff into above it, and the only one that's currently works is for the magazine. Those other slots are all for different parts of that weapon currently. And you just get those with the weapon, but eventually you'll need to find those in the game, and there's different variations of like the butt stock and so on as well. So yep, good question. Be able to craft arrows, yes. That will be coming in. Does the new city have fully functional skyscrapers? So the general idea behind the new city is if you have these massive buildings, and I don't know how high the tallest one is, I think it's like 16 stories or something. I could be completely off on that. So if somebody knows, correct me in our game chat. But
There's one that Graham has that's like 20 something, 30 something stories tall.
okay, so yeah, there's some tall ones, but from a gameplay perspective, it doesn't make any sense to make every room in that big of a structure, usable essentially. So a lot of those, what we'll do is you'll have some of the base floors that will be accessible, and then you'll be able to go up to the roof and access some of the upper floors as well. But the plan is all the base floors will be able to be accessible, and then all the roofs will be accessible as well. So if there's a tall building, the plan is you'll be able to go up on top of all the tall buildings in the game. Compared to the size of Woodhaven, I think it'll probably be a lot larger than Woodhaven, is my understanding from what I've seen. I would dare say, well, I'd say at least 4 times the size of Woodhaven, maybe 6. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was pretty big.
Yeah.
So some of those, just the size of the building, like the time it takes you to run from, one corner to the other corner is just so long. So it'll be nice.
Yeah, if you go up and look over the wall at the north part of the map, from that wall until the north side of the map is where the city goes. So you can kind of see how big the land is going to be there. I mean, there's a lot of land that's been reserved just for that city. And I'm just kind of zooming around here while I'm talking, showing you a different scene. Let's see here. Other questions? The game freezes for AMD users. So we go through, and we have one guy on the team, Adam, that spends a lot of time optimizing textures and assets. And so we're doing everything we can to optimize the game. But especially the AMD Bulldozer CPUs, there's just a fundamental issue with them. And I know people that buy AMD hates to hear that, but there's just a fundamental issue with those processors. They're just not as fast. And some games that's okay in, but in games that are really intensive like ours, I think there's always, they won't run as well as an Intel CPU. They might be acceptable, but it's just, I don't know what else to tell you. It's just the way it is on those processors. But we'll do all we can to optimize the game. And as somebody mentioned a little bit ago, we'll update our guide on optimizing the game as well. So you can enter all those commands into your config files, and try to turn down settings and optimize it as well. But yeah, that's just the reality. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know for a while there was an issue with the Crimson drivers as well, but I know AMD released like a hot fix at some point for those. So most of the AMD issues, as far as I'm aware, should be mostly fixed.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just kind of a performance issue is all, really. It's just...
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was talking about the issues where you're getting 60 frames per second and then you're getting 10,
Yeah. Let's see. Questions. I see some features on Twitch page are all available. Let me scroll down and see. Vehicle customization is not. That's one of the things I mentioned. The dynamic weather system will be coming back in shortly. That was in. So the weather system was in, and then we had to remove it at one point, and now we're going to put that back in. Inventory system. The weapon customization. It's in a little bit, but that'll be coming back in full force with the new item system as well. So yeah, some of those are still a work in progress. The best place to look for features is the Steam page. The Steam page is correct for the game. So if you go to the Steam page for the game and look at the features, those are all correct there. This Twitch page was made a long time ago, back when we were still planning the game. Let's see. Server players getting more options. Yeah, it's another thing that's on our list. Again, I've said this in kind of every stream, and I hate using an excuse, but we are a smaller team, and so it takes us time to add features. So there's a lot of features we've talked about today that we want to add, but it's just a matter of putting those in the pipeline and getting to them. We can't work on everything at once, obviously. And so we just have to balance on what we think is important, what players think is important, and add those. But I know that I would definitely like to add more features for server renters. And one of those is definitely logs. Get a little bit better idea if you think somebody is cheating or so on your server. But yeah, let's see.
There's a, there's a question about the guide spawns too. We actually did increase the guide spawn drop rates or the spawn rates.
Yep.
This in what 32?
Yeah, this is last patch.
Yeah.
So they almost doubled from what they were in the prior patch. So they definitely should be better now. But we'll look at those still and look at adjusting those. I know that Miscreated has been looking for that gatehouse guide forever. And I feel her pain. Unfortunately, just us pure randomness. But yeah, when somebody goes that long without finding a guide, then obviously there's probably some issue there, and it needs to be addressed. So, yeah. So I still think we need to adjust the guide spawns and maybe make some of those rare ones not quite as rare. AI mutants, we talked about those a lot. There'll be other types and boss ones and roaming and so on. Let's see. Will there be any type of a bounty system? The bounty system, I think we're probably not going to implement. The problem with that is there really isn't a good way of knowing who killed you and being able to put a bounty on a player's head. You don't know who the players are in the game, so you really can't, know the player has a bounty and so on. So we'll look at other types of features that will hopefully help deter those. And one of those that hopefully is the AI in the game. There'll be reasons for players to group up and kill AI in the game because there'll be some harder AI as well. So hopefully there'll be more things for players to do in the game in addition to just pure PvP. So that should help out as well. Did we scrap the Dune buggy? For now, yes, but it will make a comeback at some point. In fact, I just got asked about that I think 2 days ago by one of our team members. So the next one we want to add is a civilian style car, just a typical sedan style vehicle next. And then we'll probably look at like the motorcycle and the Doom Buggy. I'd like to have come back just because the Doom Buggy will be fun. The Doom Buggy would be a good one though for the vehicle customization system, so you can actually add stuff to the vehicle. Let's see. Oh man, there are a lot of questions, guys. I'm like way behind on questions. So I'm just going to skip through. I apologize. Horse, please. Sorry, no plans for a horse. Some type of ability to track player stats. Yes, we definitely want to add the ability to track player stats. So you can see how long you've been alive, how many AI you've killed, how much stuff you've looted, so forth. Yes. That's been the plan for a long time. Let's see. All right, I'm scrolling down a lot here, guys. If I miss any questions, you feel they're important, just let me know. Gatehouse guides I mentioned.
Two.
Rough ETN patch 33. I would probably say before GDC, but that's like March 14th. I would think we'll release something before then. I just don't know when. It might not be that long either, though. It just kind of depends. What we do is just kind of look to see what we're working on, and we get to a good spot where stuff has been added that makes sense to release a patch. We'll release a patch at that point. So, yeah, we're not on a schedule. We don't do it every exactly 2 weeks. It's just roughly 2-3 weeks is when we've been releasing patches. What will fix the car rubber banding after a client crash? Yeah, we know this is an issue where if you're driving a vehicle and the driver crashes, then it goes in this rubber band mode. If you're really careful, you can enter them, but it's a really risky proposition and you'll probably die. So the best bet's to blow them up right now. But,
YOLO.
Yeah. It's another one of those things we know needs to be fixed. Let's see. Yeah, that's a question about guides. Yeah, we'll adjust guide spawn. Scope attachment for the Carlington. Yes, we have discussed that. I definitely think that will be coming in at some point. Somebody's asking about the car. The car we haven't started on a car yet, but we do want to add a car. Let's see. The car lights go through walls. I'm not sure what you're saying there. Maybe if you get close enough, they go through the wall. Is maybe what you're saying. So the crafting guides, the way they're designed is they appear mostly in kind of houses, essentially. Anywhere that spawns lots of household items and clothes and so forth. We purposely don't have a lot of spawns for those in the military base and some of those type of places on purpose to try to get players out of those areas. So the best place to find guides, honestly, is to loot houses. Is usually your best bet. How long is it for a vehicle to respawn? The vehicles, now there's, oh, despawn. Okay, so the despawn, so the way the vehicles work, I know there's questions on this I see quite often, is, so for all of the vehicles with exception of the large military truck, if they haven't been entered, in 2 days they despawn. So just getting into a vehicle and getting out of a vehicle is enough. You don't have to start it. You don't have to drive it. You just have to enter and exit a vehicle, and it resets the timer. The big military truck is 3 days currently. So it's, you know, normal vehicles are 2, the big truck's 3. But I do want to increase those here in the future and make those longer. That was just our original implementation, was, you know, 2 and 3 days, and that hasn't changed since we added vehicles in the game a long time ago. So I do want to increase those. We looked at some statistics, in fact, about a week ago or so, where we went in and looked at all the vehicles in the entire game on all the servers. And about half of the vehicles, on average, are still at their spawn locations. So there's a lot of vehicles out there, and especially a lot of quad bikes that players just don't find. And some of those are spread out and more away from cities, you know, more farmhouses and so on for those quad bikes. So there's a lot of vehicles on average that are just sitting out there that players just haven't found. So yeah, vehicles are around. You can definitely find them on pretty much every server at spawn points if you kind of know where those are at on a server. And then yeah, for the despawn, we'll increase the despawn at some point here soon, so that they don't get reset quite as fast. See, will you add Daisy mod style debug menu where you can see your survivor stats? Yeah, I mentioned that earlier. There'll be some way of doing that. Let's see. I'm just gonna go through these last couple of questions and then probably wrap up the stream here. Question, please answer. Out of all the things you spoke of today, which one of those focus on most, and when should we expect the next patch? The next patch, like I said, is kind of unknown, just whenever we feel like it's ready. So the things we're focusing on the most, the relevant system, and hopefully we'll be pushing that out to an experimental server here really soon, so players can get in there and start testing that out. And we can, you know, we've had players in testing the inventory for the relevant system and trying to break it. For example, right now on the live servers, as you guys know that play it a lot, there are cases where you lose a lot of items, and you can end up swapping items and having the wrong items in the wrong slots and so on. And so the guys that have been testing have been hammering on the inventory system, trying to make sure those bugs are gone. One of the 2 things I know of right now is there's still a case when you log back into the game, you will lose an item from your inventory. And so that's one thing I need to look at, is that case still. We want to try to get all those things fixed as much as possible. So the guys helping us test, they're hammering on that inventory system, trying to get it stable, so we don't have those type of issues when it gets rolled out to live servers. So the inventory system is something we're working on. The new player model, that, like I said, that probably won't be in the next patch, just because all the clothing has to be updated now to fit on the new model. The prone system, possibly. It's just a matter of when this stuff gets done. So there's a lot of stuff we're working on that are all priorities. Because, you know, on a team, you have different people working on different things. And I think this is a concept that some people don't like to believe, but you know, the animators are working on something, and the programmers are working on something, the modelers are working on something, all at the same time. And just because the programmers are working on an item system, you know, you still have the modelers adding weapons to the game and adding models to the game. You still have the animators animating stuff in the game, and so there's a lot of stuff that's going on at once. And when those individual parts are ready, then, you know, they get added to a patch essentially. And some of the time, like, there's interdependencies that go on with those features, but generally speaking, it's, you know, whenever something's ready, we'll just release it. We don't hold on to features. There really isn't any reason to do that. If a feature's ready, we'll throw it out in the next patch. The lights on the bases do not look like car headlights. They look tubular and weird. I presume you mean, so there's kind of a volumetric fog effect that comes out from the spotlights. I'm guessing that's what you're referring to. And that's just something that I put in, and I'm not very good at lighting, so that's something we should have somebody fix. So you can blame that one on me if you don't like the way they look. The mutant is becoming lootable. Yes, I mentioned that earlier. Upping the guide spawns, yes. Especially some of the rare ones. I think we'll do that.
Blix asked about building on water.
Here's one from Miscreated. A light on the front of the boat. I think we could do that. That'd be a fun one to add. A lot of people don't use the boat, unfortunately, just because there isn't a lot of need yet. But yeah, it wouldn't be too hard to add a light on the boat. Let's see. I'm just glancing really fast. More questions about mutants. Somebody's asking about Battle Royale, so they probably missed that part. So if you're asking about Battle Royale, go back and watch the VOD. We talked about it. When is the leaning going to be fixed? The leaning was changed a lot in patch 32. So it no longer twists the bones and gives you this weird, awkward stance. It actually uses animations now. But that's actually being improved again even more. So, yep, that was adjusted in the last patch. Let's see. So somebody's been around a long time. He says, I've seen a blueprint on a 69 Charger. That was a guy that was on our team like 2 years ago that was working on an old Dodge Charger model. And we still have that model around, but that's as far as it ever got made. So at some point that might come back. But it was a fun model. I agree with that. All right. I think that's about all my questions here. How many vehicles per map? We currently have 14 and we want more. I'm not sure the exact count. I think it's in the 20. Well, it depends if you count boats too. I think it's like 24, 28, something in there. There's more than 14. I can guarantee that. Just in the drivable ones. Yeah, if you have that many vehicles, you're just asking for them and I'll get blown up though. So if anybody finds your base, just out of spite, they'll usually blow up your base with that many. Let's see. All right. I've already went through almost all these. Oh, so AI in houses. So one of the things the AI company is working on is making some of the AI work better in houses. For example, right now, if people have played the game, there'll be times, for example, where you run in a house and the AI will disappear because it can't follow you into the house. Those are things that they are addressing. And some of the houses, the doors are a little bit too small. We're going to go in and start adjusting some of those as well to try to get the AI in the interiors of houses. There's a couple of the models, though, that have kind of smaller staircases, and I don't know if some of those will ever be fixed just because it basically require just redoing the model or just creating a new model and replacing it. So there's only a couple of houses of that style. And so some of those probably won't be fixed, but it'll definitely be a lot better than it is today with AI disappearing when they're following you. And like jumping on the roof of a car, the AI disappears at times. And that won't happen anymore with the new AI system. It'll actually be more of a challenge. Let us see the outside of the police station. Okay. Let's go over here. As you can tell, this is a little test map that our level designer threw together for me. So this is what the outside of it looks like. There you go. All right. All right, so that's all the questions I see in the Twitch chat. Like I said, I apologize if I missed anything. If you have any last minute questions, I'll give you a minute or two to ask, and then I'll wrap up the stream. I don't want to just kind of keep rambling forever. I'm sure people are sick of hearing me talk. Let's see. So yeah, other types of billings will be coming in as well. It's just a matter of getting them done. All right. All right, last chance for questions, guys. You've heard rumors of a Hershey bar. Yeah, there is a Hershey bar in the game. Yep.
It's actually a Big Evans bar.
Yeah, they named it Big Evans bar. I want you to guys know I'm really proud of that, but I actually modeled that all by myself. It consisted of me taking a cylinder and squishing it. So that's the limit of my modeling capabilities, and thank goodness that's it. That's it. See, can you shoot prone, please? Can you shoot from prone? I don't know if that's what you're asking or not, but it works just like normal shooting. I don't have a magazine in here though, but yeah. just like you'd expect. But I have to delete this. I don't have any ammo though, but yeah, you just pick it up and go prone, and you would just kind of shoot like normal. Just bang, bang, bang. How's that? That's prone. So there's the prone. This is where you add your pew pew sounds. Yep. That's prone. Okay. Let's see. How will I be able to find my friend in Miscreated? So part of this is with any new game, there's the exploration phase where you kind of have to learn the map, or you have to find an external map of the game. But we do have an in-game map item you can find. It's a little bit hard to find those, but they are in the game where your player actually holds a map in the game in front of his face, and you can actually see the whole map at once. And then the level designers went through and added a lot of signs all over that point you to different cities. So as soon as you find a road, if you follow a road, you'll find signs that point to the cities, and with the names of the cities on them and everything. So if you know the name of the city your friend is in, then you should be able to find him relatively easily, just by going to a road and following it, because there are road signs. There are dozens of road signs in the game to help you navigate.
Also, there's the in each city there should be a bus stop as well that sort of has if you can't find the map, there should be a map on the bus stop itself, or not a bus stop, like a map sign.
Yeah.
Type thing.
Let's see. Any more in-game T-shirts? I don't know how many. There's like, what, 80 designs or something in the game? 80 combinations. There's a lot of T-shirts in the game, but fan-made ones, I don't think we'll accept fan-made T-shirts. But yeah, I don't see any more T-shirts anytime soon, just because there's a lot. Being able to push a car, yeah, the problem there is just the interactions. I don't want to say yes to that one, because that would actually be kind of a challenge to implement. So I will say not at this time. Different footsteps. There's already a lot of different footsteps in the game for a lot of different surface types. And the other thing, and I'm probably not going to be able to demo this very well, but the footstep loudness varies based on your speed. Yeah, you're not going to be able to tell this, but the faster you go, the louder the footsteps are.
Step.
Yeah, if you hold down the middle mouse button, there's also, you can walk, so it's kind of a slower one. And then you can crouch and crouch walk. And crouch walking right now in the game is essentially silent already. It's very quiet. So just to be aware when you're playing the game, the faster your character moves, the louder his footsteps are. So if you're in a tactical combat situation and you want to be quiet, hold down the middle mouse button and start walking slow, or crouch and walk slow, because you'll be almost completely silent at that point. And the prone will be the same way. The prone will be really quiet. Let's see. Snap button for base building parts. We've discussed this, and I think that will come in at some point. Some type of a little snapping system for base building, and also being able to raise or lower parts slightly to align them better. So yeah, that's been requested a lot, and I know we have people on our team that want those as well. So I think that'll come at some point.
There's a few questions about night vision too.
Yeah.
Been asked a few
rolling.
times.
I don't think you did rolling yet. No, it's more just a lean. But we definitely want to have rolling in the game and prone, so you can roll left and roll right. So it just doesn't look like those are done yet. But yeah, those will be in as well. Let's see, a compass possibly. We'll add that. We'll have to see.
Yeah, I don't think we're adding night vision at all, like night vision goggles.
No, I don't plan to add night vision. The problem is it makes the game so imbalanced for the people that do happen to have a night vision. It's like almost like God mode if you play at night. So yeah. At this point, there are no plans to add night vision. When will Miscreated finally find a gatehouse guide and stop moaning about it? Come on, we sympathize with her. We feel her pain. There's other people that want it as well. More weapons in the military zone. Not any more than today. No, it's already kind of overpowered with weapons. When the large city is done, we're actually going to shift around a lot of the spawn locations, and so you'll have to go north to find better weapons instead of hanging out down at the south coast. Let's see. All right. Somebody had a question in French, it looks like. I apologize, I don't speak French. We need binoculars. We agree. So binoculars is something we want to add. It's just more of the issue of looking through a binoculars is kind of a different issue than looking through a scope because of the two lenses and everything. So we do have a binocular model that was made a long time ago, and we do want to add those back into the game, but there's just some programming style features we have to fix first to add those. But yeah, binoculars will be making a comeback at some point. Yep. All right, guys, I appreciate your time. That's all the questions I see. Oh, let me go through Blix's questions. He had a lot of questions, and Blix plays the game a lot. He's probably one of the top 3 or 4 players in the game, so he probably has some good questions here.
I think we worked it out to like 20 full days.
Yeah, he's played a lot. So, what happened to the
cool dude.
weather? Well, I addressed the weather. The weather's coming back in hopefully soon. Like I said, there's 2 people working on the weather system. One's implementing it and one's testing it right now. When will our crops grow? So, yeah, we want to add kind of crops to the game as well with bases. Yep, so why can I drink salty water from the sea? Just because you have a lazy programmer that hasn't fixed it yet. And that would be me. Yep. Are there any plans to add freshwater sources and purification? Yes. There's actually tablets already modeled in the game for water purification. So it's a matter of just getting that back in. Like, you know, as I mentioned, a lot of these will wait on the new item system. Then we'll start adding a lot of these things back in that have been kind of waiting. Boiling water, obviously we need the campfire, and the campfire is waiting for the new item system as well. So, yeah, boiling water will be coming in. Cooking will be coming in. I mentioned the incapacitation system's coming in at some point. It hasn't really been started on yet, but that's something that we definitely want to add. It'll be high on our list soon. Yep, we want to make the gallows functional, so you knock a player out and hang them. Yep, and drag players behind vehicles as well. See, carrying injured players. We'll have to look at that. Anytime you have 2 players that are interacting via animations is kind of tricky, especially being able to like carry a player on your back. We'll have to look at the feasibility of that, but it does sound like a nice feature. Let's see. Is the vaulting system going to be in-game at some point as well as other co-op animations like cuddling to keep warm and boosting players?
Nice.
Cuddling, I don't know.
That's in already. You just got to bind it.
Yeah. But co-op animations is something that we would like to add. And we talked about those a long time ago. And again, that's one of those type of features that gives more players... It gives players another reason to interact and work together rather than just shoot each other in the face. So those are the type of things I would like to have come back is, you know, boosting players up and so forth, yes. Can the persistence of dead bodies be increased rather than despawning quickly? Again, this is one of the issues. The reason that it's limited today is because dead bodies add a lot to the item system because they have as many items as a player does. And so it's just a lot more stuff that's kind of littered around. And so right now they despawn. So the way it works today is they despawn for 2 reasons. One is you can only have 10 corpses total on a map. So once the 11th corpse gets generated, the oldest corpse gets removed and all of his items gets removed. Or if a corpse has been around for 15 minutes, it also gets removed. So that's the way corpses work today. But that's something I definitely think we could increase with the new relevant system because you'll only get total of corpses that are close to you. And so it helps make it a lot more efficient. So yeah, I think that's definitely something we should look at adjusting again. Let's see. If dead bodies left a pool of blood, flies, ravens behind. Yeah. The flies we've talked about, that's planned for the corpses as well. Birds overhead, possibly. Well, that's something we could do. Stacked items. He's asked about stacked items. Yes, we want to add that. What happened to all the female players and female mutants? Yeah, we apologize. We know there are females, fans of the game, and we know there are some males that would like to have the diversity and play as a female as well. So we, as I mentioned, we definitely want to add females to the game, and we will do it. So we're not ignoring the females. We apologize. They will be added. Being set on fire does not raise my temperature. Yeah, that's just something we should just add. Again, right now there isn't any way of adjusting your temperature very well in the game, and so some of those will come back into play with campfires and so on. Like going into caves will lower your temperature, or if it's raining you'll lower your temperature. Those type of things will be coming in. The motorcycle helmet does not protect from headshots. Yeah, we definitely want to add the ability for clothing to affect the damage you take. Yes, you're right. You're correct though. Right now, the motorcycle helmet does nothing besides makes you look cool. The wetness, as I mentioned, that was actually removed by Crytek, I believe, and so right now there isn't a way for us to have the clothing look wet, but that's something we want to see if we can add back in ourselves. So we would like to have that. Let's see. So generators in the big city, this is something we've talked a lot about as a team. For example, right now we have the generators around that all they do today is power up lights, and a lot of people either don't know they do anything or it just isn't worth the effort of powering up the lights. But in the big city, we've actually talked about several gameplay ideas where you have to turn a generator on, and as an example, to turn on an elevator to get to the top floor. So I think you'll see generators become more of a gameplay style device with the big city. And we definitely want to make it so you need to use generators in some of those situations. Base part increased, yes, we'll add that after the new item system and relevant system is in. Can we build on water? That's something that I think we're going to have to discuss as a team. I'm not really opposed to it, but it's something we have to look at and kind of balance. So you don't have all the bases off in the middle of the oceans and so forth. But possibly, I know we've talked about having a special base building part that is kind of a foundation that you can set on the water and then build on top of it. Something that kind of looks like it has barrels underneath it or something like that. So I would say possibly on that. We might add the ability to build on water. Let's see. Yeah, player bounties I think we're just going to remove. I just don't see a good way of doing those currently, just because you don't know who players are in the game. New crafting guides. We don't have any new crafting guides planned. With the new item and relevant system, that's possible, just because we'll be able to add a lot more stuff to the game. Furnaces, yes, will be added. There's actually a model of a furnace that's already done by one of the team members, in fact, and we're just waiting for the new system to add the furnace in. So yeah, you'll be able to take stuff and melt it down and get iron and ore, essentially. More radiation, yes. We'll be adding some of those. And then this kind of goes back to a server feature. We definitely want to add the ability to have a message of the day when you join a server. So that'll be something that'll come in. One of the issues right now, for example, is if you're a server hoster and you're renting a server, so you're paying your own money to have this server, and somebody's being abusive on the server. A lot of times the players don't know who to contact. They don't know who the server administrator is in some cases. So a message of the day will help alleviate some of those, because they could put in, hey, if there's an issue, contact me, with your email address or whatever you want, or just a message about gameplay rules. Some people don't want to have a server that has PvP. It's all meant for PvE. And the message of the day really helps with those type of information, just giving information the players are joining. And so I think we'll definitely add that in as well, because that'll help out. And it's another, the people that are paying their money to rent their own servers, we want to give you features and give you reasons to want to do those. And we think it's justified to add features for you guys that are paying your own money for that. Okay. And then why add storage? Flex. Yeah, I'm not even going to touch on that one again. I went through that a lot. Okay. That's coming though, for those that may have missed it. And then why does this game have mixed reviews? I don't want to make excuses for the game. There's a lot of reasons for it. We had a lot of issues with CryEngine in the early days. A lot of networking issues, a lot of people with issues, a lot of people couldn't join servers. We had server stability issues. At one point, we were down to, the maximum number of players on the server was 8 because of issues that we were having. And it wasn't all Crytek's fault, so don't let me, I don't want people to believe that. Some of it was just our inexperience with CryEngine as well. But the game is definitely a lot better than it was back when the reviews were, a lot lower. And the reviews are slowly starting to come back up. It may not look like it, but they're slowly starting to trend back up. But as I mentioned earlier, though, if you guys are enjoying the game, please go review the game. Give an up-to-date review and opinion of the game, and that helps anybody that's looking to join the game. We definitely need more players in the game. There's a lot of people that go to look at the game and they see the the player counts, and they're like, well, you guys have a lot less than H1Z1 and DayZ and Rust and some of these games, which is true. And so anytime we can get more players in the game, it helps because you have the player interactions, which makes the game fun. So yeah, on the reviews, please just go update your reviews on Steam if you haven't updated them, or leave a review if you haven't left one. But yeah, a lot of the issues with the mixed review is from the early days of the game. The game went down in the reviews a lot because of all those early reviews. All right. Linux port, no plans for Linux port. I'm sorry. And that's coming from a guy that used to work on the Linux kernel. I used to be huge into the Linux. I used to do Linux kernel development. So, but yeah, no plans. Sorry. What do the gnomes mean? Okay, this will be my last question. I'll answer. The gnomes are just purely there for fun. At one point, like 2 years ago, we were going to hold a contest where if you could find 10 gnomes, we'd give away free keys to the game. And we just didn't do that. That was why they were originally added to the map, was for a contest we were going to do. But now they're just there for fun. And I think they're going to be added as a base building part as well. So if you find gnomes in the game, you can put them in your base if you want. So
Yeah.
just for something fun to do. All right, guys, I appreciate your time. I know it's been a long stream. There were a lot of questions I went through at the end, and so I appreciate those of you that have been around and kind of stuck around. If you have questions that I didn't answer, because I know I skipped through some, I apologize. Please post those on Steam or on our forums, or send us a tweet at Miscreated Game, and we'll do our best to get those answered still. And this video, as soon as we're done, we'll get it processed and upload it to YouTube. So if you missed it, it'll be on YouTube, and it'll be archived on Twitch until they remove it, which I think is like after 2 weeks or something. But the best place will be to go YouTube probably later tonight or tomorrow, and it'll be on YouTube, so you can browse through it there as well. And I saw somebody mention GDC. We will be at the Game Developers Conference, which is the 15th through the 18th, I believe, of March. 15th, 16th, 17th of March. Yeah. We will be in the Crytek booth. Crytek invited us again this year to be in their booth with them. So if you look for the big Crytek booth, and we'll be there with the game. You'll be able to play the game. We'll have it set up on a computer there. Sometimes we'll give away free keys if you come and talk to us as well at the Game Developers Conference. And then in addition to that, we will have our own booth at PAX East in Boston, which is towards the end of April. And there will be, I think, 9 or 10 of us that'll be at PAX East. Some of us will have our spouses with us as well there. But it will be our own booth at PAX East. So please, if you're in Boston area and are planning to go to PAX East, stop by our booth and say hi to us. And it's very likely at PAX East we'll have some swag to give away each day as well.
Yep. And if you buy me a beer, I'll give you free game keys.
There you go. So yeah, we'll be giving game keys away at both events. So stop by and just say hi and introduce yourselves. We'd appreciate it.
Also, stick around after the stream. I think Jen's going to give away a game key, a Miscreated key.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and terminate the stream then. Jen will be in chat. From what it sounds like, they'll give some keys away, or a key away. I'm not sure what the plan is there. But I appreciate your time and for hanging out with us today. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.